Shri Milind Kamble, Shri Ravi Nara, Shri Avinash Punekar. Friends, it's a pleasure and honor to be in front of you. The question before us is not whether AI will transform the world, which is already underway, but whether the transformation will be equitable, human-centric, and aligned with long-term social progress. And let me tell you a few stories so that you understand where India has a role to play. It's always felt that India, at least we have been made to believe that India kind of missed the bus in developing the inference models, and somewhere along the line, other countries have taken a march. But if you look back in early 90s, the world required a lot of IT professionals, and India had not invented Unix, nor computer chips, nor the relational databases. But when time came, Indians started learning on their own, sometimes outside engineering colleges, and became useful to the world. And today, over last 35 years, we have become the largest users of IT. That time also, there was a talk about how will we make our population, which is reasonably poor in those days, how do we kind of include them in the new normal that is coming of information technology. And I recall at IIT Bombay, we had made many experiments, including with Carnegie Mellon, of that $100 notebook, which IIT Bombay was sort of trying to implement. And so today, I'm delighted IIT Bombay is also part of the Bharat Gen, leading that from the front. But broadly, the democratization of technology that took place over the last 25, 30 years has been phenomenal. And the technology cycles have been able to actually reduce the time from when it starts, where it's very costly, to coming to the hands of the masses at the lowest level in a very low cost environment at a very high utility level is now the time taken is shrinking. So what used to take 40 years in, say, computers is now taking probably 3-5 years. And that's where I think Indians, because of the demographics, we are the youngest large country in the world, but also very technology adaptive, very technology oriented. And that is where my hypothesis comes from, that going forward, Indians are going to be the largest users of the AI, the way they became the largest users of information technology. I was talking to somebody in the morning today that during COVID, when the world went into lockdowns, India actually was the first country fully to lock down compared to even China, which had locked down only one province of theirs. But India locked down itself fully. At the same time, India managed itself well in every aspect, including food movement and the vaccine creation and everything else. But it actually managed the world well, because the world's back office is here. We manage not only our hospitals, but we manage the hospitals of the world. We did not manage only our organized or unorganized retail sector. We managed the retail sector of the world. We did not manage only our stock exchanges and banks from remotely sitting in India, but we actually manage the banking system of the world. And similarly about telecom and wherever, whichever companies, whichever countries worked well, Indians work 24/7 by 365 across nooks and corners to ensure that the world continues to run. And I think that is where the world has got that confidence that Indians will continue to service the world sitting in India. Now we don't have to go physically through the telecom lines. We are able to service the world. And that is what, for me, the AI would also come into play, because it's in a way, play on the earlier technologies that got developed. And last 30 years, we have been able to sort of imbibe that inherently in our, not only in our engineers, but the nooks and corners of society, our public digital infrastructure, which started with NSE, that was set up in 92, but started operating in 94. Today, is one of the largest IT systems of its type in the world. It does provide you response time currently in microseconds. Next month onwards, it will start giving you response time in nanoseconds. 1 second has a million microseconds and a billion nanoseconds. And on a good day, we get 20 billion orders in 6 hours, which is almost 50% of all orders in all stock exchanges put together in the world. On a good day, we get 300 million trades, which is again 50% of all trades in the world in all stock exchanges put together. So India, and per transaction, our value is somewhere close to $100, vis-a-vis probably 10, 20, 30 times larger in other countries. So we are able to reach out. Today, NSE supports directly 127 million unique people across nooks and corners of India. India has 19,300 plus pin codes. We have investors residing in all pin codes of India except 28 pin codes, from the heights of Ladakh to Andaman Nicobar, to Dwarka in Gujarat, to Arunachal Pradesh on the eastern most corner. Now 127 million Indians participate in stock markets using their mobiles. And that's where, for me, the entire journey of technology is going to be played out. I have now got a fundamental belief that the world progresses via technology. The new wealth gets created by technology. And it's not the technology that somebody invents. You don't have to invent the technology. You can still adapt. And that's where India was pioneer 2000 years back in surgery, in metallurgy, in mathematics, and many other areas. But other people learned, they developed, they adapted. They created newer technologies, and that's how they progressed. And similarly, in last 35 years, India did not invent computer chips or operating systems or relational databases or other things. But India adapted, and India progressed. And India, when I used to say that over last 1,000 years, when the technology race was being run, India was not even in the stadium. We were very far away. Although we were the pioneers in the technology 2,000 years back, 1,500 years back, but somehow we kind of missed out on the technology revolutions over last 1,000 years. But in last 35, 40 years, we have all worked hard. The society has worked hard. And more importantly, the demographics is such that today, when the technology race is being run not only in AI, but in robotics, in drones, in 3D printing, in biotechnology, in every race, India is at the center table. And that is where, for me, the AI is just going to be a horizontal technology like electricity. When electricity was kind of invented, the inventor did not get much. It's the people who used it later on became benefited in terms of became very rich, but the entire society benefited. And that is true with AI. In some ways, the open source, open weight AI systems are available now. We, of course, are creating our own models in nooks and corners of India, but all of us have a duty to also create our own models, using the open source models that are available, create our own weights. And there was a framework which said that unless you have $1 trillion, don't come into this game. It's what I call psych and awe game. That we will win this game, don't come because we already won. And for me, that's not going to work out, because somewhere on the line now, you required a huge amount of compute, huge cost on training those models, and then ways to use that. For me, now the new open source, open weight models, some of them can be used in even your normal laptops, and they will give you reasonably decent results. Every area doesn't require a large amount of compute or the entire large trillions of parameters kind of models. We can actually modify them, train them for our purposes. And around 4 months back, I'd say that the model race is pretty much going to be run where one side is saying that don't come into this race because we have won, You require trillions of dollars. None of you have it. So go out. The other side is puncturing that, saying that every day I will come out with a new, better model. And now that side is coming out with newer and newer models. So for me, that fight, let it be on. We have to create the best and the brightest use models. How do we create usages? And I see Sarvam AI and many other people actually coming out, presenting here in Delhi in last few days, what Indians can do. It's going to happen more rapidly, but that high-end computing power that was required even then is now no longer required. You can use many models which don't require that kind of sort of compute power, or models which you need to develop. You can actually start with any model which is meeting your requirements, train it, create SLM instead of an LLM which is required for your use. And the next race, which is what I call robotics or cheaper energy, that's where we need to use these models which are coming up in our own way, experiment. And India has to learn to tinker. We have tinkered, and that's how we have given the software framework to the world, but we have also now given services framework to the world. Now we start tinkering again with all these models that are coming up. You don't have to invent. If you can, very good. When I say you don't have to invent, doesn't mean you stop inventing. Right? If you can create your own models, you are most welcome. Government of India is also going to support you. Of course, BharatGen, Professor Bal is here. So everyone is going to support you in case you want to go in that direction. But start using stuff which is available and start developing things which are useful to your society, people around you. And that's where we have been able to create UPI. That's where we have been able to create GST. We have been able to create faceless assessment in income tax, or CPC, Centralized Processing Center for Income Tax, and every other public utility or public digital infrastructure, which is world beating, because we are the people who will use the technology the most. We have the people, young people, who are going to make the maximum wealth going forward. I have a theory which says that earlier you required a lot of capital to create more capital, which is why Karl Marx called it capitalism. And since India was capital starved, we could not create large factories. That's how we could not create even further capital. So we were on the what I call capital starved areas. Slowly the technology moved, and the need for capital became less for starting newer businesses. The technology allowed you to start businesses without too much capital. And then some people started experimenting, like our services companies, IT services company like Infosys, Wipro, other people. They started using that, and without capital, putting too much capital, they started earning a lot of money. They serviced the world. They made a lot of money for themselves, and that's what I call over a period, the world has come to capitalism without capital. You will require little capital. Today, India has that capital. Today, India's GDP is around $4.2 trillion. We save somewhere around $1.2 trillion every year. And we are able to fund ourselves. We have seen it in stock markets, this 12.7 crore or 127 million investors putting their hard-earned money in your stories. If you have a story, if you think you want to start something, we have, of course, a very large venture capitalist, angel funds. I can see many of them, Hitesh sitting here, many other people who are willing to fund. But if you don't get funded by nobody, you come to stock markets. We have created a framework for you at NSE called NSE Emerge or NSE SME segment, where if you want to raise even $100,000, $200,000, that is 1 or 2 crore rupees, you should be able to raise from the public markets. Nobody believes in your story. If you can convince out of 127 million, not 12.7 crore people which NSE services directly, even 1,000 people, you will be able to get that 1 crore, 2 crore, 5 crore, 10 crore you want. And if your company becomes big, like what happened to Nandan Nilekani's company or Azim Premji's company, you will also make billions, but other people who are investing in your companies are also going to make some money. And that's what India's new capitalism is all about. It's capitalism with very little capital. I call it capitalism without capital. But AI is a new opportunity. Let's grab with both hands, and perhaps you'll have to train few more hands which you can add up in robotics or otherwise, and start having as many hands, as many thumbs, as many fingers. Start grabbing those opportunities, and the future is for us to win. Thank you very much.